Hello, Wired fam. What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Got a little special episode in store for you guys. Where's my banner at? Hang on, guys. Where's my banner? We got to have the discount codes. You guys got to have them discount codes. Fishing Specialties, 10% off, code WIRED. StowawayMounts.com, 10% off, code WIRED. And then 15% off Bonehead Tackle. Crappie 2023 right down here in the bottom of the screen, guys. Make sure you guys save some money on your tackle, your Fishing Specialties poles, your live scope pole, your stowaway mount for your mounts for up front. Make sure you guys take advantage of those discount codes. That save you some monies. That's what we're all about here is helping you guys out, saving a little money. A little bit of a special episode tonight. Like I said, we're going to talk crappie. We're going to sit here and stay warm around this nice toasty fire, guys. Check this out. We got the nice toasty fire rolling right here. Got the fire pit. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So we're going live from in front of the campfire tonight. I know you guys probably like campfire. Who out there, show hands, leave me a comment. Who out there likes a campfire? I like a campfire. I could sit out here in front of this thing all night. Actually, I could sleep right here in this Adirondack chair. Right now, I could go to sleep. Trust me, easily. So we're gonna go. I hope it's okay. We go right here in front of this campfire tonight, and we talk crappie fishing because I'm ready to talk crappie fishing. It's November, one of my favorite times of the year. We're gonna talk about techniques to catch them in November. We're going to go through some different things, and I'm going to answer any questions that you guys may have. And we're going to have a good show right here in front of this campfire. As long as you guys can keep me awake. Listen, I need you guys to help me out because if you don't ask questions tonight, I'm liable to fall asleep in front of this campfire. I'm just telling you guys right now, it's bound to happen. So, not in the shop tonight. I apologize for that. But we are not in the shop tonight. Hopefully that's okay. And we're still going to talk crappie fishing. So make sure when you get on tonight, guys, you drop me a hello. Let me know where you're from. Hope everybody can hear me, by the way, because we're not in the shop. We're sitting outside under the beautiful moon and the stars and in front of this campfire. So hope you guys can hear me. Uh, Hello there, everyone of the family. Love the fire from Middle Tennessee. Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it, buddy. Make sure you drop me a hello. Let me know where you guys are from. Tell me what your home lake is. And I always like to say hello to you guys. I always like to know where we're reaching, how far we're reaching. And then I like to see some of those home lakes. I like to talk about those different lakes, guys. Woo! Oh, did y'all see that ember? Woo! It fell on my arm. I was burning. I was on fire for a minute. Did y'all hear that fire pop? That's one of the best parts, dodging the embers as they pop. How about that? All right. So make sure you give me a hello. Let me know where you're from. I'm trying to get some extra light here. Give me some extra light. We got the lights. We got the little lights up top there, but we don't have. We need some more light. That's all right. You guys can see me. Oh yeah, you got that, baby. Yeah. You guys can see me. All right. So make sure you drop me a hello. Let me know where you're from. November crappie fishing. One of my favorite times of the year, guys. Favorite times of the year. Why is that? Well, it's very simple. Favorite time of the year because you can catch crappie just about anywhere in the lake. They're moving, they're feeding, they're hungry, they're active. You can catch them on a shoestring. It's just so much fun. All right. So, we're going to talk about some of the best ways to catch them in November, some of my favorite ways, and some of the most productive ways. We're going to talk about baits. We're going to talk about rods, reels, line. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything tonight. And we're going to see if we can't help you guys catch some November crappie. Okay. So let's go through here and say hello, Rex Williams. What's going on from Arkansas? If you guys see my thumb, that's because I'm on my phone tonight and I'm going to be constantly looking at your comments. I'm going to try to keep my fingers out of the way. But if they get in the way, I apologize. We're going to try to do our best, though, okay? James Williams, what's up from Saudi Daisy, the chick? What's going on, James? We were just talking. I was just talking to somebody on the phone earlier about the chick and about how great November fishing is on Chickamauga. Rich and Jen's Adventures from Sevierville. What's going on? Went fishing today. That's not a good thumb. I don't like that thumb. That thumb's a bad thumb. You need this thumb, not this thumb. All right. I'm assuming you probably went to Douglas if you went fishing today, being in Sevierville. Marshall from Wisconsin, what's going on? 44 degrees. Well, it's like 80 degrees down here tonight. So, you know, that's kind of why we're sitting outside, you know, around the fire because it's warm. And, um, why not? It's like 85, 88, whatever it is, where we're at. All right. So Anthony Kent, what's going on? Who don't like sitting around a fire? Jackie Jordan, what's going on, Jackie? I tried to call you earlier, Jackie. You did not take my phone call. Um, Jimmy Pratt, what's going on? What's up, Jimmy? I tried to call you earlier too, Jimmy. You didn't answer either. I thought you was dead, man. I tried to call you, text you. I did everything but send up. Well, I sent up smoke signals. I tried to do everything I could to get you, and you just didn't answer either. You guys don't love me no more. All right. Let's see. Do, 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 do. Travis Martin from Lake Hickory, North Carolina. What's going on? Jeff Branham from Bloomfield, West Virginia. What's going on, buddy? I was actually talking about West Virginia earlier today. One of my uh, employees was talking about looking at property in West Virginia. West Virginia is beautiful. I'm sorry to tell you, but West Virginia is about as close to Tennessee as you can get. Um, Paul Gwynn, what's going on? Paul had a good day on the chick not too long back here a couple days ago. Paul caught a limit on Chickamauga. Rodney Hudson, hello, Wired family. Matt, I can't wait to try the bobber stop trick. Yes, the bobber stop trick. Did you guys see the video that came out with the bobber stop trick? I'm telling you right now, if you guys haven't tried it, you need to try it because it is fire. And I'm not talking about this kind of fire. I'm talking about the real deal. It is the trick for crappie fishing. If you're going to slip float, you have to know the trick. If you have not watched the video that dropped, when was it? Yeah, Monday. It dropped Monday. If you have not seen the slip float trick of your life video, you need to go back and you need to look at Wired for Crappie on YouTube and you need to watch that video. If you slip float, have ever slip floated, or if you hated slip floating and gave it up, you still need to go watch it. If you ever think you might slip float again, you need to watch it because everybody needs to know this trick. It is the bee's knees. Ho, 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 ho. We got more popping. We got more popping going on. All right. It is absolutely the best trick that you will, in my opinion, ever see. And if you don't think so, you can tell me in the video, but I'm telling you, there's been some crazy comments already on the video. People going and trying it and absolutely loving it and just absolutely saying, wish I would have learned it 50 years ago. Can't believe I didn't figure this out till now. This is the best trick that I've ever seen on YouTube. I mean, we've gotten some really, and I say we because it's all we, right, guys? You guys are as much a part of this as I am. So there's been some crazy comments on that video. And it's only just begun. I mean, the video is literally like a day and a half old. I mean, people haven't even had time to really see it yet or get to the lake and try it. So it is incredible the difference it makes for slip floating. So go watch that. Please go watch it. And guys, listen, share the videos. I mean, take the extra minute to share it because there may be somebody on your page that is a crappie fisherman and says, I need to see this. I need to know what this is about. Right? So, make sure you go and share the video. Please share the video because I want everybody to get it. I want everybody to see it. I want to help everybody. Okay. So go do that. Take care of that, please, for me, if you would. Sean, hello from Ohio. What's going on? Virgil, I camped all last week. Loved the campfire, but got pretty cold Wednesday night. Yeah, I bet it did. I'd say it probably did get cold last Wednesday night. Rodney Hudson, love Campfire. Yeah, me too. Marshall from Mississippi River, Louisiana. What's going on? Mississippi River, La Crosse, Wisconsin. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I said Louisiana. La Crosse, Wisconsin. What's going on, Marshall from Wisconsin? How are you, sir? Bill Long, hello, hello. Anthony Kent, hey, Matt and Wired fam from Nolan Lake, Kentucky. Rough, windy day on the water today. I bet it was. I bet it was. I think you guys got some bad wind up there. Didn't they have like 20, 25-mile-an-hour gusts up there? They were calling for those here, and I don't think it ever got here. I don't think it. I don't think it went above us. The wind, that is. Rodney Hudson. Hello, hello. I think I lost my spot. I did. I'm trying to keep my finger out of the way. It's not working out very well. Danny Phillips, what's going on? Kenny Evans, hello, Matt. What's going on, Kenny? Donathan Brown, what's going on? Hey, bump, 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 bump. Somebody's bumping out. Y'all hear that? Let's see. Hey, Matt from Lenore City, wanting to fish Teleco. Well, if you want to fish Teleco and you want to go on a guide trip on Teleco, then wiredforcrappie.com. That's all you got to do. Go to wiredforcrappie.com. You can book a guide trip there, and we can go fish Teleco, Jonathan, and I can teach you all you want to know about Teleco, because that is the lake that I actually cut my teeth on when I started crappie fishing. So if you want to know Teleco, I promise you, we can teach you Teleco. You know what I'm saying? Rex from Table Rock and Bull Shoals Lake. What's going on, buddy? Rodney Hudson, home lakes are Wiley and Lake Watery. What's going on, Rodney? I've heard Wiley's got some big fish in it. Center Hill. What's going on, Joel? The Joel Nash in the house. What's going? Whoa! We're getting popped on again. What's going on, Joel? The Joel Nash in the house, guys. Rich and Jen's Adventures. Yep, Douglas Lake. Ed Cook, hello from Ed Cook, Springdale, Arkansas, but in Grand Rapids, Michigan, watching. All right, we're making it to Michigan. Almost, we made it to Canada one week. Barry Wallace, any good crappie fishing near Robbinsville, North Carolina? Let's see, where is Robbinsville, North Carolina? Are you near High Rock? Or, let's see, High Rock? No, High Rock is South Carolina. No, it's not. It's North Carolina, I think. Isn't High Rock, North Carolina? High Rock's a great lake. I don't know where Robbinsville is as far as North Carolina is concerned. What lakes are near you, Barry? I can tell you if any of them are good if you tell me what's around you. Scott Winkler. Hello, Matt from Westchester, Ohio. Thanks again. You're welcome, buddy. Hello from Crossville. What's going on, David? I hunt over towards Crossville. Scott Winkler. Hello, Matt from Chester, Ohio. Thanks again for the bobber stop tip. Works great. You're very welcome, Scott. There's another one, guys. I'm telling you, it works. If you haven't seen the video, go watch it and share it. Please share it. Please share the video. Please. Uh-oh. Where we at? Oh, there we go. Chad Cooley, hello from Middle Georgia. Can't wait to try the slip float trick. Absolutely, Chad. You'll have to go back to the video and let us know how it works. Makula Tackle, what's going on from Minnesota? How are you guys tonight? Thank you for joining. Wind got bad today in Minnesota. Going to be worse tomorrow. One thing I don't like is wind. I can't stand fishing in the wind. Just not fun. Marshall, I have a few B&M 12-footers. Love the Sam Heaton Super Sensitive, but I'm interested what everyone else likes. The long rod sensitivity and bite detection are the ultimate goal. I like ACC. I mean, honestly, regardless of whether they sponsor the channel or not, I've used just about everything. I've used B&M. I've used Ozark. I've used ACC. I've used Todd Huckabee's. I've used just about every long crappie pole that's out there, with the exception of some of the smaller, just 1 and 2 pole kind of mom and pop deals. But in my opinion, I like the ACC just for the sensitivity and the backbone. The sensitivity and the backbone match my style of fishing. I like them for that reason, and I can do everything with one set of rods. I can pull planer boards. I can troll. I can pull crankbaits. I can longline. I can single pole. I can do it one set of rods. Okay. So that's kind of why I like ACC. Chris from Rockwood, what's going on? Do your lakes have a turnover? Yes, our lakes do have a turnover. However, we're in November, so the turnover's pretty much done for our lakes. They're pretty much done turning over for the year. We won't have a whole lot of turnover left. On some of our deep water lakes, you may have a little bit still going. Cherokee, Douglas, you may see some turnover still, but very, 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 very little to still turn over. Most everything's turnover. We've had several good cold fronts, and that's cooled the lakes off. Last weekend I was on the water. Tellico was 60 degrees. I saw 59 in places, and that typically means turnover's done. I mean, once you get down to 60 to 59, once you get to that kind of 65 mark, our lakes are pretty much done turning over. Thanks again for the slip bobber. Tried it, works great. Thank you, Scott. I think we mentioned that one already. Larry Merrick, hey, we have a burn ban here in Ray and other surrounding counties. $25,000 fine, but we don't have one here. And if we do, it's all right. We'll be all right. I hadn't seen one yet for us, but I do know you guys have them, and they have them over towards Middle Tennessee too. I've seen several over towards Middle Tennessee. But I am not. Let's see. ACC finally came out with some softer tip rods. They did. They actually came out with a medium light action, and it is very soft. Very good question. What are your thoughts on how turnover affects crappies? Well, turnover is not my favorite time to fish. Okay. First of all, turnover will shut crappie down. It will scatter the fish. The fish just kind of go into I don't want to use the word dormancy, but they kind of do, to be honest. I mean, it just kind of stunts them for a little bit, right? So the fish get very lethargic. They get very finicky. They're moving constantly. They're trying to stay. That basically, whoa. All right. So basically, you've got nice steady water. Once summer sets in, it's hot, but it's steady. It's constant, right? So they've got that constant depth, that constant kind of area that they live in, right above the thermocline in the summer. And then once turnover starts happening and the lake starts turning over and those fish kind of get run out of that normalcy, they kind of lose that normalcy right there above where they like to be, if you will, right there above the thermocline in that cool layer of water that's oxygenated, cool. They just kind of sitting there, just waiting on it to cool off. Once that turnover starts happening and that layer of water starts flipping, it just kind of throws them off. They're just like, ugh, I don't like this. This isn't normal. It's not comfortable. Where's my comfortable water? They're searching the lake for that comfortable area that they want to be in, and then they start not trying, but they start to develop that hunger, if you will, that fall feeding type, situation where they feel that kind of that cold front, that maybe that first cold front hits, and they feel the temperatures start to change, and they're starting to know that winter's coming. The animals have a sixth sense. They know when winter's coming. They know when storms are coming. They know when hot weather's coming. Then, animals have that sixth sense. They feel it in their lateral line too. Fish do. Crappie do. All fish really. But they're starting to kind of get that, well, I need to feed up for winter, that fall feed. They need to get that fall feed bag on, get going. But they just don't have that comfortable water yet. So that consistent conditions, if you will, because the layers of water are continuing to flip and they're continuing to turn. But hang on a second. Josh Sanders, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Been a while for me to catch one of these lives. I guess I'll blame it on the newborn. Yes, Josh has a new baby, guys. Congratulations to him. Everybody give Josh a congratulations on a new baby boy, a new fisherman in the family, if you will. New part of the Wired fam. I'm claiming him, Josh. He's yours, but I'm going to claim him in the Wired fam. Everybody give Josh a congratulations on the new baby. I know he's a proud daddy. Firstborn. Congratulations, buddy. All right. So again, it affects those crappie more so than you may think, because they lose that normalcy. They lose that layer of water that they've been living in now for months, and it takes them a little bit. It takes the water turning over and getting back to a steady state before those fish get back to a steady state. So it really does affect them. They're scattered out. They're hard to find. When you do find them, they're finicky. They don't normally bite like they would, say, November. Okay. October is when our lakes pretty much turn over. The second week of October through the end of October is kind of when you see that turnover here in East Tennessee. And then 1st of November, it's pretty much done. And then they kind of move into that fall feeding pattern, is what we're going to get into a little bit tonight here once I get through some of these questions. Oh, what size and type of line do you use for your slip cork setup? Typically, I like a 4 or 6 pound mono. I like mono because I like it to have some stretch, because I rear back on a hook, and I mean I'll rear back on a fish and pop him when I'm slip floating. So I like a mono so that I have some stretch, and it casts a lot better too than some of the other lines. So I like a mono 4 or 6 pound test, clear or high vis, either one. I mean, I got a float, so I don't necessarily need high vis line because I'm watching my float. So I will use clear or high vis. Have you got to try the new cotton candy yet? Yes, I have, and it is dynamite. So if you guys haven't seen it, there is a new bonehead tackle jig color out, cotton candy, and it is awesome. You guys go check it out on Bonehead Tackle's website, and make sure you use that discount code down there and save yourself 15% on the new color. Okay. It's purple, pink, and chartreuse. It is the bomb. The bomb diggity. All right, so let's talk a little bit about all right, so let's talk a little bit about techniques for November crappie. So first, let's talk about dock shooting, because everybody who dock shoots loves to dock shoot. If you haven't ever went out and tried to dock shoot or tried to shoot docks, you need to give it a try. Okay, it's very simple. It's not hard. You just need one rod. You need a 6 or 6.5 foot ACC crappie stick. That's all you need. Mono. Okay, high vis mono. This is a situation where you do need high vis. Okay, because you're watching that line a lot of times when that jig gets under that dock and starts to fall. You're watching the line. So when that line goes or jumps or twitches or moves this way or moves that way, when the line starts to move, it's because something's moving it. Okay. It's not because, well, sometimes current can move your line, but if your line starts to jump off or run off in a direction, it's a fish moving it. Okay. Or if it twitches or if it jumps or if it wiggles, it's a fish on the end of that line that's making the line wiggle. Okay. So you do need high vis line to shoot docks. And why do fish move to docks in November? It's very simple. Because there's bait on docks. They're hungry. That's the fall feed. They're done with turnover. The lake has got to it's got a little bit of normalcy to it. It's got a little bit of stability to it. And guess what? Now they're hungry. They want to eat. The water's cooling off. They've been out there all summer starving themselves to death so their bikini body looks good. And now they're ready to eat. It's just like us. We're ready for bikini time and speedo time and all that in the summer out at the lake and at the beach and everywhere else. But then come Thanksgiving, we're going to feed our face. That's just how it works. And we're going to put on 12 pounds between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's what we do. They're going to do it too. Okay. The fish are going to do it the same way. So, like I said, they go to docks simply because docks are their own ecosystem. Every dock is its own ecosystem. And if you look at it like that, you'll understand why. Because you have shade, cover, right? The dock provides shade or cover. The dock also provides algae, which the bait fish feed on. So then it provides bait fish. So then it provides crappies because the bait fish are there and the crappie are trying to feed up for the winter. So they automatically go to the docks. All right. It's that simple. It's not hard. It's very simple. Okay. So with that being said, um, docks are a great way to catch fish in the fall, in November. All right. November is probably my favorite month to shoot docks, period. No doubt. Hands down. Because those fish are feeding, they're active, they're looking for bait, they're looking for ways to ambush bait. Okay. Don't think that bait are the only ones hiding under a dock. Crappie will use the darkest part of a dock to hide from the bait fish that are underneath that same dock. Because if they get in that dark area, have you ever, let's look at it like this, okay? If you're standing outside your house in a pitch black dark and your wife and kids are inside and they got the light on, you can see everything, right? Because you're standing in the dark looking into the light, right? If you're inside the house with the lights on and you're trying to look out the window at your wife and kids playing in the front yard, you can't see crap because you're standing in the light looking into the dark. Same thing for fish. Crappie can get underneath that dock in the darkest part of that dock and they can look out and ambush bait fish that swim into or out of that dock because they can see the bait, but the bait can't see them. Okay. So that's why crappie get in the darkest part of a dock. You ever ask yourself when you're shooting docks, why in the crap would a crappie get all the way back there where I can't get to it? That's just ridiculous. I can't get to those fish. I've tried 30,000 times to shoot back there and I just can't get back there. And I'm done trying because I'm over these stinking fish. That's because they're back there because it's the darkest part of the dock. It's that simple. They're trying to ambush prey. Okay. So again, Jerry Stutz. Hope I said that right, Jerry. Big or small baits in the fall? No docks, mainly timber in Texas. Very good question. White crappie, big baits. Black crappie, small baits. Okay. So if I'm fishing for black crappie, I'm using a smaller bait. If I'm fishing for white crappie, I'm going to go larger. Okay. Larger profile. All right. So that is my advice for shooting docks. Okay. Makula, 132nd ounce. Yes. Thank you very much. 32nd ounce, pretty much religiously for me underneath the dock. 32nd ounce jig. If I find fish on a shallow dock, like 3-4 foot of water, then I will go to a 64th. But guys, it's very difficult to shoot a 64th ounce jig because there's just not a whole lot of weight behind it. It's very difficult to get that jig back to where you need it. So I'm pretty much a 32nd ounce for the most part all the time. If I find fish on a deep dock, like 20 feet deep, which I will find fish 20 feet deep, I will go to a 16th. But there again, 32nd is just about where I stay. Okay, 32nd ounce jig head. Travis, let's see. I've been seeing a lot of folks on Facebook that have busted the screen on their Garmin units. Do you use screen protectors? I do not personally use a screen protector. But knock on wood, the only wood I have is in my fire, so I'm gonna knock on it before I say this. Uh, um, I haven't had any issues with screens busting. You just kind of have to be careful. It's gonna happen. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But try to be careful, mindful of it. But no, I don't. I don't use screen protectors. All right, next way to catch them. My next favorite way in the fall, and I was actually online last night, poking around and found a live that was on last night talk about longline trolling, and I just kind of got curious and Curiosity killed the cat and all. And I asked a question about planer boards. And I was very surprised by the comment that I got about planer boards. To whereas, they were talking about longline trolling in the fall. And we're going to talk about longline trolling as well tonight. But I asked a question about planer boards, and they were like, "Nah, not for me. Not during the fall. Not November. Fishing 10 foot deep, 8 to 10 foot deep. Blah 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 blah." And they had just several reasons why they didn't use planer boards. And my lakes are dirty, so I can longline troll, and I don't have to get jigs away from the boat. Yada yada yada. So I laid there last night. I got to thinking about it after I got off the live, and I thought, they're missing it. They're missing out. And by what I mean by they're missing it is very simple. They're missing out because they're long lining, and let's just say they're using 16-foot poles. Their largest poles, their longest pole is 16 foot. So let's say they've got 16, 14, 12, 10. All right. The best that they're doing is if their boats, let's call their boat what, 6 foot wide at best, 8 foot wide maybe. So let's say 8. The best they're doing is 16, 16, 32, 8's 40. They're covering a 40-foot span of water every time they pass. Every time they drive their boat down a creek, they're covering 40 feet of water, right? Give or take. To whereas I can fish however deep you want to fish. I mean, if you want to fish 10 foot deep, 12 foot deep, 30 foot deep, 6 foot deep, 4 foot deep, 2 foot deep, on the surface, you want to skip them across the surface, we can do that with planer boards. But yet I can cover where they're covering 40 feet, I can cover 40 yards. I can cover 120 feet with planer boards because I can stretch those planer boards out beside the boat. I can still fish at whatever depth you want to fish at, but I can cover 3 times as much water in one single pass as they can cover with one pass with just their rods. So I'm covering 3 times as much water, which gives me 3 times the opportunity to put my bait in front of a fish. So I got to thinking about it, and I'm laying there last night, and I thought, man, it's just like they missed it. They didn't, they just, I don't know if they just hadn't used planer boards enough, or if they don't, you know, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but planer boards are fantastic in the fall and in the winter. I mean, fall and winter when those fish are feeding and they're suspended and they're out there in that open water, because November, they're feeding. They're out there in open water. They're under docks. They'll get on structure too. Don't get me wrong. They'll get on structure. But this time of year, I'd rather get off the structure. I'd rather look for those open water fish that are feeding, that are active, that are moving, that are looking for bait. I'd rather be out there doing that as opposed to sitting on structure. So, um, pulling planer boards is a great way to catch them. It really is. Um, you can pull 2 32nd-ounce jigs, a 32nd, a 16th, 2/16ths, a 16th and an 8th, 2/8. I mean, you can even pull 2/4 if you need to get down deep. I mean, it just, there's a lot of different ways to skin that cat. All right. Or skin that crappie. Let's stay on crappie. Skin that crappie. All right. So, planer boards is a great way. My planer board setup, same thing. I'm using a 12-foot, a 10-foot, an 8-foot, and a 6-foot ACC crappie stick. 12-footers, 10-footers, and 8-footers have planer boards. So I got 6 planer boards, and then my 2 6-foot rods I put straight out the back of the boat with 2 floats. So my float acts as my planer board. I don't want those to swing out to the side. I want them to stay right behind the boat. And the reason I want them to stay right behind the boat is because a lot of times there's fish that stay right behind the boat. They don't always scatter to the sides of your boat, especially if you're fishing deep. I mean, if you're fishing deep, those fish don't scatter at all. So you need to make sure you cover that entire spectrum of water every pass. And, fishing 8 rods, 6 planer boards, 2 floats out the back. That's the way I do it. 0.8 to 1 mile an hour is the way or the speed that I troll at, okay, for the most part. 0.8 to 1 mile an hour. I will go up to 1.2 at times, but for the most part, 0.8 to 1 mile an hour. Now, a tip for you guys when you're trolling, anytime you're longline trolling, pulling planer boards, or anything else, any kind of trolling, you need to leave your graph on, you need to leave your side imaging on, and you need to pay attention to it because I've marked a ton of structure while I'm just catching fish. I'm out there, I'm pulling boards, I'm longlining jigs, I'm pulling crankbaits, whatever it may be, and I'm marking stuff as I go because I'll glance down, I see a brush pile on the screen, I'll run over there and I'll mark it. Okay. So you can catch a lot of fish while you're fishing. Or I'm sorry, you can mark a lot of structure while you're catching fish fishing. Okay. So always, always, always leave that graph on. It's not going to affect the fish. It's not going to hurt your catch ratio. Leave it on and watch for structure. All right. Let's see. Look at some of y'all's comments. What we got? Matt, people that haven't seen your video on slip bobber fishing third, missing out on the best tip of the year. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, Robert. I'd like to think it's a pretty good tip. Um, it definitely makes life a lot easier, doesn't it? It really does. It definitely makes a difference. That's for sure. Um, Do you use bobbers in the fall? Yes, absolutely. If I find fish on a flat, okay, if I can find fish suspended on a flat, I'll float and fly, no problem. I don't have any problem floating and flying in the fall. If I can find fish that are on a point or on a flat or just out in open water in a creek channel floating around, and they're 6, 8. I don't necessarily like to float and fly deeper than 10 foot, but 6, 8, 10 foot deep, I'll float and fly. Love it. Absolutely love it. I love to watch that float go down. There's no doubt about it. So, yes, to answer your question, I will. Let's see here. Need a snowmobile to skip a planer board across the ice in the winter up here. Yeah, I hear you. Jackie, my buddy was supposed to have my boards made this week. Well, I have them made. We just got to get them to you. Oh, let's see here. Uh, so that's planer boards. Like I said, um, there it's basically, guys, it's basically the same thing as longline trolling. There's no difference in it. The only difference is you're putting a board on your line and you're pulling your jig out away from the boat. So you're getting those baits away from the boat to where you're fishing clean water. You're not fishing water that's being disturbed by your boat. Okay. So that moves us into longline trolling. Okay. I love the long line. I'll long line in the fall. It's probably the easiest way to fish if you have kids or guide trips, you know, that I go on, um, or that I take. I need to put another piece of wood on this fur. Hang on. Oh, ah. Let's see. So again, there we go. Stoke the fire up here. Woo, that's hot. All right. So long line trolling, basically the same thing. Okay. Uh, there's a lot of people that ask the questions. One, the first question they'll ask is, how far do you put the jigs out behind the boat? There's no exact science to it. You don't need line counter reels. Rear back, sling that joker out the side of the boat and put it in a rod holder. Okay. Now, don't get all, fat and happy about slinging that joker as far as you can, because you can get them too far out. You'll be bumping bottom if you're not careful. Um, or you'll end up tangled up when you go to turn, one of the two. That's another thing about planer boards that's so much better than long lining is you can turn on a dime with planer boards, and those planer boards will just sit there on top of the lake and wait for you to catch back up. They won't get tangled up. You see what I'm saying? Um, Whereas long lining, you have to be careful where you turn because when you turn, if you're not careful, your line will get tangled up. You just have to make very large turns. Don't turn on a dime. Make sure if you have to make a sharp turn because the creek that you're in or the area that you're in mandates you turning sharply to turn around, you need to reel your lines up, turn around, cast them back out. Okay. That's the tip of the night. But planer boards will allow you to turn a little bit easier. Okay. So again, a good solid cast out behind the boat. You don't have to go crazy with it. You don't have to Mike Tyson your cast. It doesn't need to be that far of a cast. A good 50, 60 foot cast. Just a good solid, easy cast, good 50, 60 foot. That's all you need. Okay. That's all you need for long lining. Now, zero 0.8 to 1 mile an hour, 2/32, you're running anywhere from 4 to 7 feet. 2/16, you're running anywhere from 7 to 12. And 2/4, you're running anywhere from 12 to 18. All right. Um, at 0.8 to 1 mile an hour. It varies a little bit. Are you pulling flies? Are you pulling plastics? Are you pulling a curly tail? Are you pulling a straight tail? A curly tail is going to ride higher than a straight tail because it has action. It has more drag. So anything that has more drag is going to sit higher in the water column or pull higher in the water column when you're pulling jigs. Okay. So there's a little bit of variation, but not a whole lot. All right. Those depths are going to be pretty accurate. 0.8 to 1 mile an hour. All right. Oh, I use planer boards in my kayak. Works great. Yeah, I bet it does. I'd say it does, buddy. All right. So, again, good cast out behind the boat. Same rod setup. I got 12, 10, 8, and 6. Same thing when I'm long lining. 6s straight out the back. And then kind of just, I call it spider web, right? So 6s straight out the back. And then 8, 10, and 12 straight out the sides. Um, I run 8 rods. You don't need the most expensive, best reels in the world. I'm using like old Shimano's, and um, I've got a hodgepodge of reels as far as my long lining setup's concerned. I mean, I've got Shimano's and Mr. Crappies, and I think there's some Doc Demon reels on some of my rods. I mean, it's just a hodgepodge of reels. That's the best thing about it is you don't have to have super expensive equipment to do it, and get you a set of ACC rods and some cheap reels. Throw some mono on there. I pull mono filament line, uh, typically 4 to 6 pound test. It doesn't bother me to put 4 on or 6 on, whichever I have, available right there in front of me. Most of the time I'm running 4 pound test, but I will put spool up 6 if I have it sitting there and need to spool a reel. Jeff, what would you suggest a good side image setup or a solid brand? Um, so that's a good question. Okay. Um, for those of you that don't know, I own I own Wired Marine Electronics, which is an install business. I install marine electronics. Um, and I would have to say I'm a Lowrance guy. Okay. But I'm an old Lowrance guy. I'm running HDS Gen 1s. I do not run lives. I do not run carbons. I do not run any of the stuff that's recently come out because I don't really like it. Okay. So I'm an old school Lowrance guy, not a new school Lowrance guy. If I was going to switch to new technology, new units tomorrow, I would go Garmin. Okay. I would go with probably a 106 and a 93, or a 126 and a 106 is probably what I'd go with, just because they're cost effective. They don't break the bank. There's more expensive units, but there's also cheaper units. So kind of that middle ground. And then I would splurge and get the 56 transducer, which you don't have to splurge anymore because it comes with them now. But the GT56 transducer is what I would go with. I've seen some incredible images come off of some of those units. And if you're looking to go with live sonar, Garmin's leading the way with live sonar. Humminbird is great. Lowrance is okay. Well, let me rephrase that. Humminbird is good. Lowrance is okay, but Garmin is great. All right. And if you're looking to do live sonar at some point, I'd go with Garmin's. That way you're already set up, because that is who's kind of leading the charge in electronics right now is Garmin. They're doing some really great things. And, you know, that would be my brand of choice. And then you can look at all the different units and decide which one you want to spend the money on. But I would probably go because I have a 10 and an 8, an HDS Gen 1 10 Lowrance and an HDS Gen 1 8-inch Lowrance on my boat currently. And I love that setup, and that setup won't change on my boat for the foreseeable future. Okay. I have so many extra 10s and so many extra 8s that I just buy as people sell them. People sell them for cheap all the time, and I buy them every chance I get. Every time I see one, I buy it. So if anybody has an HDS Gen 1, 10, or 8 that they want to get rid of, holla at me on Facebook, Wired for Crappie on Facebook, or Matt Zenas on Facebook, and let me know because I'll buy it from you. Because I'm not getting rid of those units anytime soon. But if I was going to, I'd probably go Garmin. Oh, very good question. Both jigs, same color on a rod, or different colors? Always. 100% of the time. Always different colors. Always. Never put two colors the same on a rod. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. If I could give you guys any piece of advice to Longline troll with, it would be never put two of the same color on one rod. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Um, it's just like, I look at it like this. I look at it like, yes, I believe in contrasting colors. Okay. Contrasting the watercolor with your bait color so that the fish can see your jig. Because the first thing you got to do is get the fish to see it. And if the water's brown and your jig is brown, the fish probably aren't going to see it. You know what I'm saying? If the water's brown and your jig's black, they're going to see that. If the water is like tap water, they're going to see anything. You don't want them to see it as good in that color water. But always contrast the water because look, my wife likes Brussels sprouts. I don't. I think they're gross. I'm sorry. I'm not eating them. But I like cooked carrots. She don't. Okay. So just because you swim that black and chartreuse jig by a fish doesn't mean he can like it. But that white and chartreuse that's above it or below it, he may say, uh-oh, let me get some of that. And he may come up and hit it. So never the same color. Never, never, never the same color. Okay. Can you explain to me about your transducer pole mount that I see you use? Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have it obviously right here in front of me, but I use a fishing specialties pole, fishingspecialties.com. They're right down here in the uh, discount code section. Code WIRED saves you 10% with fishing specialties. And I use a 48-inch down rod. Okay. So the down rod is 48 inches. The handle is an extendable handle. It extends from I think 12 to 18 inches or maybe 20. Um, so extendable handle. Whatever transducer you have, whether you have the 32 transducer or the 34 transducer, dictates or the Humminbird or the Lowrance forward facing sonar, whichever one. Um, the transducer you use dictates what bottom section of the pole you need. So what mount you need for the bottom of that pole, whether you need the cone or the pole extension, the little plastic pole extension to put your transducer on, that dictates what end you need on the pole. Okay. But I have one with a 32 transducer on it and one with a 34 transducer on it. That's all aluminum. The bracket, your specific boat dictates what length bracket you need that pole sits down in. It's got a cone adapter in the bracket and then a reverse cone on the pole to where all you have to do is slide it down in there and you can set it in there and pick it up in a second. There's no turning a knob. There's no screwing down a screw or unscrewing a screw. There's no twisting it, swiveling it. It's just it comes in, it goes in, and it comes out. You put it in, you set it in, you pick it up. Because of that cone and that reverse cone, they just interlock together. It's smooth. You can turn it. It's easy. It's simple. It's lightweight because it's all aluminum. It's hollow. The pole's hollow, so you can run your cable up the pole. That way, you don't have to have your cable outside the pole that could get snagged on something and get broke. I mean, it's a $500, $600 transducer. You don't want to tear your cable off, so that actually the cable goes inside the pole and protects your cable. As far as cost is concerned, with the other poles that are on the market, the cost of a fishing specialties pole is cheaper than any other pole in the market that I've seen yet. Any manufactured, mass-produced pole on the market, it's cheaper than any other pole out there. So it's a great choice. I've used one for 4 or 5 years now. Love it. It's I'll never change from it. And it's simplistic. It stows and deploys literally that quick, and it's out and it's in. I mean, literally that quick. So, you know, for simplicity's sake, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's the pole that I use. I love it, and I would recommend that pole to anybody. Hope that answers any of your questions. Jackie did pretty good last week pulling plugs with 2 ounce weights in the creek. Yes, sir. That reaction strike, man. Um, when those fish scatter and the lake's turning over, you can really catch a lot of fish on crankbaits because those fish scatter throughout the water column. They get out there in open water and just kind of sit and move around, float around, and you can run a crankbait by those fish and get that reaction strike from those fish because that crankbait comes through there rattling and a chattering and a doing the jig and dancing back and forth. Man, they will absolutely eat it up. So it's a great time to pull crankbaits. Great time. Let's see. All right, guys, we're to the bottom of the comments. We're gonna call it a night. Those are my three favorite ways to fish in November: is docks, pulling planer boards, and longline trolling. Those are my three favorites. When I'm longlining, one thing I did not mention: when I'm longlining, I prefer an action tail jig over a straight tail jig. So I prefer to use, like a curly tail or a paddle tail or something of that nature that's got some action to it because I'm looking for a reaction bite. I'm looking for that reaction strike, but I'm also trying to target those active feeding fish that are pretty much hit anything at that time in the year too. So, but I do like an action tail jig. I like something back there working for me. You know what I'm saying? I want that tail back there working. I want it. I want it to go to work, and so that's why I try to stay kind of with that action tail. Like I said again, a curly tail, a paddle tail, something of that nature. Um, there's several people that make some really good baits that are action tailed, and I don't have a personal preference. I like a Southern Pro hot grub. I like a Charlie Brewer slider. I like a crappie magnet slab curly. Crappie magnet now has a paddle tail out. It's called geez, Zooey, what's the name of that bait? Somebody will tell me, I'm sure, but they have a curly tail out, and love it. It's a great bait, or I'm sorry, paddle tail out. It's a great bait too. Let's see. Ah, I have a 34. What is your opinion on the 32 and versus the 34? I have them both, and I run both on my boat. And I will say the 34 is hotter. It's brighter, but it's not a game changer. Okay, to me, if you can afford the 32, well, they don't make the 32 anymore. But if you have a 32, unless you just want to buy a 34, The 32 is sufficient, but the 34 is brighter. You can see better, and you can see at distance better with the 34. Always learn something. Mr. Curtis Hobbs in the house. What's going on, Mr. Curtis? Always learn something. Tonight learned fish are smart. Yeah. Yeah, fish are smarter than we give them credit for, I think, for sure. Barry Wallace, great info. Thank you, Barry. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. I'm going to sit around this fire and let it die out and enjoy the flame and the crackle and the popping and let this thing die out. And then I'm going to go to bed. So, hope you guys have a great week. I hope everybody joins us next Wednesday night on the live. We will be back in the shop next Wednesday night. But check out if you have not seen the slip float tip video, please go watch that, and please share it. That's all I ask. Share the video. I want it to get out there so that everybody and anybody that it can help, it will help. So please take the time, share the video. If you don't know how to share from YouTube, then you can go to Wired for Crappie on Facebook, and you can share it from the page at Wired for Crappie, because it is on there. There's a post on there with the video link in it. You can share that from Facebook to your Facebook pages. And like I said, I always appreciate you guys. Thank y'all for everything you do. Thank you for being here. Couldn't do it without you. And as always, God bless. Have a great week. We'll catch you on the next one.